What's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining me on another tech tour. Today we are here in downtown Evansville, Indiana. We're going to be looking at City Church's tech today. Their production director, Tyler Sipes, he's a really knowledgeable, really nice guy. He's agreed to take us on a tour of their church and show us what they use, why they use it, and kind of give us some insight on their church and why they run things how they do. And so without further ado, let's just go on inside and meet him. All right, what's up, guys? So this is Tyler Sipes. This is the production director here at City Church. And you just want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, so like you said, my name's Tyler. I've been at City Church on staff for 2 years, been a part of the church for about 4.5. Kind of integrated into a part-time staff position where I'm over our tech team, which is a part of our worship team here at City.
And see, you got a logo up here. The cross changes everything. That's your church's kind of motto, correct?
Yeah, so at the end of service every Sunday, 2 times, right? We end with how our message correlates to how the cross changed everything for all of us.
That's really cool. Okay, and then this is, you call this City Square?
City Square, yep.
City Square, so this is just
kind of a multi-purpose space. It's kind of, on Sundays it acts as our main foyer, where you can grab a coffee, kind of learn how to get connected with our welcome center over here. Just kind of mix and mingle with some people that you know. On some occasions, it's where our whole church has lunch, right? For an all-city lunch, as we call them. It's an opportunity for us to all come together, kind of understand what's going on with our church. And we've also used it for small groups, just about anything. It's a very good multi-purpose space.
Okay. Is there anything else you think they should know about this area or you?
Some tech, since that's kind of the point of this video, that we serve in here is a closed circuit stream to those TVs over there. And then it also gets its own mix from our wing in the main space. So we're able to independently kind of control this space off of the main board from the other room.
Okay, so, and we'll kind of talk about that later on in the video. All right, so without further ado, we'll just hop right into it. All right, so what kind of band do you guys have here on like a normal Sunday?
Yeah, so our band typically comprises of a drummer, 2 electrics, bass, keys, acoustic, which is usually from a lead position, and then anywhere from 1 to 3 vocals.
Okay. And then your acoustic player, he sings too, right?
So commonly our worship leader right now is doing a lot of acoustic, but he'll switch between electric and keys as well from his lead position. We run acoustic wireless back to the rack, and yeah, it's all pretty quick and easy.
And I know, like, you guys don't have wedges really, do you?
Nope, everything's in here. If it's a backline position, we're running the P16s, and they're just hardwired in with like an 8-foot extension. And then anybody who's frontline, or singers, are on a wireless system running back to a P16 backstage, where they can adjust their mixes before and after service.
So how does your preacher have any problems not having monitors or anything?
No, he relies on the house quite a bit for that, which is fine for a speaker. It's adequate levels for the house, and once we get it kind of dialed in, he says he can feel the power in his words. So yeah.
And what kind of speakers do you have up here?
Just some older QSCs. Whenever I got here, there had been a remodel done. Now it was 7 years ago. I can't do math right now for how long that would have been, but we've kind of canceled out all of those throughout the space. These were just used as front fills at the time. And I decided to take our space into stereo with a decently powerful two-way speaker there, and it shoots over our crowd pretty well. We still use some under balcony delays and some upper balcony delays just to hit the people farther back. These will probably be getting phased out within the next 12 months, if I had to guess.
Okay, and you don't use the monitors up there or anything?
From the original install that was done, from the integrator they had whenever we acquired this building. It had a lot of hot spots, and it didn't really cover all of the congregation, so we got rid of it.
That's nice. What about the lighting up here? Can you tell us about these light bars and just the lights you have?
Yeah, so actually just this Easter, we integrated our Pixel system. It's an ADJ Pixie rig. These are the Pixie 120s. We run 8 currently. We're probably going to be upgrading to a few more here soon. Beyond that, we have a mix of all other types of lights, running some Chauvet Pro Hex USBs up top. So an RGB AWUV fixture up top. American DJ UB12Hs on the bottom, another hex fixture. And then we have some sheds lighting, so an Amazon special on the movers. Really great value for $300 a pop. We integrated those last Easter. We tend to do our upgrades around the holiday seasons. And they're an RGBW, but they're very, very powerful. I have auditioned them side by side on the stage with $1,200 name brand fixtures, and they just outperform them. And they have
that's good.
Not only higher output, but also higher capability.
So. That's awesome. What's your usual color scheme with the lights? Is it usually blue or purple, kind of like it is today?
I think that there are probably quite a few churches that do volunteer restraints or whatever, like it works well to have one.
Okay.
We do multiple scenes per song, so there's never just a set color.
Okay. So
we make sure to reemphasize the point and message of each song through the attention and the focus that our lights bring to our stage to help usher our congregation through that. So.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to tell us about just up here, kind of on the front line?
As far as frontline stuff, not too much. We've got a couple of things that we've integrated recently. One being our piano shell. That might be coming up on about a year now. We had a few comments that said, "Hey, super glad we got a regular piano back in." Didn't know it was a Nord on the inside. Built a little patch bay. We run keys left, right, and then a third audio channel of pad out of this. And through that patch bay, we have all three of those lines, as well as our Ultranet for the P16 for that local keyboard player. So,
and is keyboard the only thing you run stereo, or do you run anything else?
Yeah, right now, our lead guy, if it's an acoustic week like we have coming up this week, we may run pad and stereo sometimes. Other than that, I just take care of panning in the stereo system. As far as our P16s go, we do have keys set up for stereo there just to get a good sense of where they're at with it.
Okay. And I don't notice guitar pedals up here. Do they just bring their own then?
Yep. We're set up to receive whatever they need. We eliminated cabs a couple years ago. So we're down to, a lot of our guys just have cab sims or something to that effect on their board already. If they don't, we have a simplifier on hand that can receive their pedals and turn it into a cab sim there. So.
And is this, so you have bass on this side, right?
Yep, we do have a little bass rig, which is the HX Stomp with an Ernie Ball VP Junior, and then just a little direct box all on a piece of plywood. So, real high tech.
Very high tech. And then you have your keyboard, and then nothing in the center, right? Besides just having your drums back here.
Yeah, our space, whenever they did the remodel, went for an asymmetrical layout. Because of that, we have to kind of balance stuff weird. So right now we're able to have 2 and 2, and that leaves our front and center leader just right in front of the drums. And it builds some good space there.
Gotcha. And then so worship leader and acoustic guitar player, your 2 electrics, drums. Am I missing anything?
Nope. Probably just a couple vocalists if we have.
And then your vocalists kind of spread out. So yeah, I think that's all for front line. Do you want to move that way, or do you want to go back to the sound booth?
We can look at the rack. Let's go
back here. All right, I'll follow you.
So if you guys want to look a little farther back, we've got a few things hidden behind the drum cage. A peak that most of our churchgoers never get to see. So we run a couple of Hurricane 1Ds, I think they are. I'm sure you can correct that in post if I'm wrong. Running to both sides of our stage. We have HVAC returns on the far left and far right sides of our stage, so getting even coverage can be a little challenging. So with that, we run them both in both directions to try to get the most out of it. Ran some larger hazers in here before, and this seems to do the best with coverage.
And what's your opinion on the haze? How does it add to the service or subtract from it, or just what's your opinion overall?
You know, I think it is a bit of a preference whenever it comes down to it. Of course, you get more out of lights with haze. Particles in the air that catch light, right? So the more reflection of light, the more you're getting out of the light.
Yes, sir.
For us, it helps to really kind of craft a moment and just something a bit different than maybe what our eyes in the pews are used to seeing. A lot for me with church tech is creating engaging, distraction-free environments. And with that, I've attained focus, right? I think back to whenever I was young, super ADHD. I remember the ceiling of my church better than some aspects of it otherwise. And so to create a space where it's clear where attention is to be, I think that haze helps just step that up just a little notch.
Gotcha.
By no means is that necessary, but is it helpful? Sure. And I think it matters.
Just something to add to it. Do you adjust it very often, or do you kind of just have a set preference and you leave it there?
Sure. So I can show you that once we get back to the booth a little better. It is dynamic. We can, like I said, a little hard to manage with our stage with those HVAC returns being right there. So we do keep it on a slide or a fader. And we kind of call out in the moment, hey, let's bump from 20%, 30, 35, whatever.
That's pretty cool. So. And then, is there anything else you want to talk about on back here?
So further back, we run click and track. We use Ableton to do so. And then we run Ableton out USB-C or Thunderbolt 4, I think it is, into a tracks rig by Loop Community, where we break our tracks out into 8 channels that feed back into our Snake. We run click and guide through one, and then we have keys, guitars, bass, drums, other percussion, all of that kind of stuff. And then above that is the brain for our pixels that sends out left and right. So.
Okay, and then let's see. Let's go ahead and move on over here. These are the P16s you talked about.
Yep.
And these are for the seniors?
Yeah, so these are our frontline people. Anybody that we mentioned that would be on wireless for their in-ears can adjust from right back here. Okay. These feed back into our rack, which if you want to take a look, is just a few feet farther away. So we run some cables through a wall, back and into our Sennheiser G3 and G4 units, kind of graduating into G4 as we can. Those get fed from our S16 Snakes. So we do run the Behringer Snakes. We used to have an X32 in this space. And it was what came with mobile church, actually. This church was mobile for 3 years, so these are still kicking, so we're going to keep using them.
Yes, sir.
Farther down, we're running SLXD inputs. All of our singers are on KSM8s running through those wireless units. We run a Countryman H6 lav for pastor, and we also have a Beta 58 as like a throw mic for our host moments or anything like that. So.
Okay.
And if you look elsewhere back in our wing here, we've got just some basic storage. This isn't our main storage, but it's stage local. So if we're out here and we're like, hey, we just need an XLR, we're not running to the back of the sanctuary and back.
Exactly.
It's just a few steps over and we can grab that, a mic stand, instrument cable, or what have you.
Okay, and that's about all you have up here is just pretty much that, right? XLR looks like Cat 5 maybe?
Yep, the basic guitar center
Some guitar, okay.
right here.
Okay, save some time, that's always good.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, do you have anything else on this? All right, so this is your green room door, right?
Yep, so straight from stage back to our worship leader's office, as well as where our team hangs out on Sunday mornings, before, in between, and after services. We do our circle ups in here every morning. We've got a live closed circuit of what's going on in the sanctuary. It would be what a live stream feed would be if we did a live stream.
You have like an internal live stream.
Yeah.
Just call it something like that.
All throughout the church there.
Okay.
We usually have some coffee in here, some snacks, some drinks, and just kind of a place where people can unwind before they bring our congregation.
And this might be a good time to point out, you guys have mirrored services, right? So you said, what, 10 and 11?
We have a 9 and a 10:30.
Okay, 10:30.
Yep.
And so you said a lot of times, since the musicians and the workers have to be here for both, they'll kind of pick and choose which service they're in, and then do they come back here for the second service, or are they in both?
So a lot of people choose which service they want to sit in, like spouses, friends, whoever comes. So it's not like, all right, team, you're in first, and we can relax on second. We don't structure it that far, but we do recommend to everybody that, be a part of the church. Don't just be somebody who comes and worships.
Exactly.
And go listen to the message once at least. So you'll see some people in and out in those services.
Okay. And let's see, it looks like you have a little speaker set up back here. What is...
Yeah, so this is our worship leader's desk. We're starting to get into doing some of our own tracks. Kind of birthed out of City Church for the city of Evansville. We've started an initiative called City Collective, where we are writing songs of Evansville for Evansville and to be given to Evansville.
Oh, that's awesome.
With that, we've had multiple churches kind of partner with us in that, from writing to just playing and recording. I've done a worship night, hope to do more. And with that, we've had 4 professionally recorded songs now. I've produced other from like Memphis or Nashville. Most have come in here. I've come here to have that done. And once that track is released, those multi-tracks are available to any church in our area for free.
Where can they find that at?
It's just a matter of contacting us for that.
Oh, okay.
We don't have like a site or anything like that. And there's a lot of functionality to that. One thing that we really value through City Collective is bringing churches in our city closer together.
Okay.
And so if we're just like, go to the link, it's not as much as, oh, great, here's that.
Exactly.
Who are you?
Exactly. That way we can reach out and kind of get in contact.
100%.
Everything. Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And what songs do you have on the walls here? Are these just...
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, so they're just decoration. They're not songs you wrote. Okay.
Yeah. So again, half office, half.
Okay.
Sorry,
I thought I was doing something, pointing out the songs. And I think you told me about this off camera, but your guitar player, he's making
worship leader. He's doing a little guitar build there.
And it looks like a Les Paul, really.
Yeah, he'd be able to tell you better than I could. He just mentioned the other day what model it's after, but I couldn't tell you. So
it looks really cool. No, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'll have to see the finished product at some point.
I'm sure he would love to hear you say it's really cool. So.
Well, hopefully you can tell him I said it's really cool.
Okay.
Maybe that'll do something. Is there anything else in here that you want to point out? Anything like that? So you got some books and stuff like that here.
Yeah, part of being an office again, but no, I just kind of a spot for our team to come hang out.
Okay, I like it. It feels classy in here.
Sure.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Our green room at church is just, not like this. It's not an office. It's just like a little guitar room, basically music room. So it's very professional feeling. For me.
We in between our previous worship leader and who we have now, his name's Randy. We had about a year hiatus without a leader, and so some of our staff was like, well, when we hire somebody, we'd like for this to be prepared, and did a full overhaul. So it used to look quite a bit different, for sure.
Well, definitely looks nice. I like it.
Just running left to right. Always an attempt to make as clean and excellent of a looking space as possible for our volunteers. We want to show them that we appreciate what they're doing, so we take time to make sure that their space is prepared and ready for them. Starting over here with Pro Presenter, I think it's pretty common for most churches in America, doing the typical graphics thing, not only sending to a front projector, but we also utilize confidence monitor as well as some overflow areas, like our team room that gets a camera in-house feed of what's going on, as well as our nurseries and our city square space that we'll see here in a minute. Moving on down for lights, we use Light Key. Switched over to this kind of as soon as I came on the team, and it's been awesome ever since. We've had a lot of people join our tech team that were like, I think I'm going to break it, and then they get in, and within months, I've had people tell me, I understand how to worship better because I've ran lights here. It's been super rewarding. In a given song, we're running about 8 to 10 scenes per song, I'd say. So we're running about 40-ish scenes on a Sunday. All of these are synced up with how we do Ableton, not automated, but synced up. So our operators on Pro P and Light Key get their own click and guide in-ear mix. It's what we call the ops mix, and they'll be able to follow along with the guide on where they need to go next. So if guide calls out chorus, they'll see the next scene up is chorus, and they'll know to hit spacebar. Fade times automatically progress, and it looks like a well-automated system, even though we're utilizing and enabling volunteers and people to help act as the hands and feet of Jesus through our tech. So
you're the one that kind of sets these lights up, though, right? And somebody will just push the space bar.
Yeah. So weekly, either me or my worship leader are preparing every aspect back here from the scene on our wing, which we'll get to next.
Okay.
Teaser. Light Key is all built by me weekly, and then our worship leader will take care of Pro P as far as his order of arrangements, making sure that proper communication throughout the church is happening here. So if we got a family night coming up sometime in September, we'll have a family movie night, chili kickoff. All of those graphics get requested from our to our graphic designer, brought in, and he makes sure they're in the right spot of service for that flow.
Kind of a weird flex before you go on. If you want to move it over to me. Kind of a weird flex before you go on. I got to push the space bar for their music practice the other day.
That is true. Yeah. So if you come here, expect to work. Right?
That's right. I did get to do the lights officially now, I'm going to say. So I'm the light master. And
super easy to approach too, right?
Very easy. I was actually really nervous, and then I realized all I have to do is hit the space bar on beat.
So and listen to the lady, right?
Exactly.
Listen to the lady leading the click.
It's a very easy way to incorporate people, I feel like.
Yeah.
So somebody that wants to start being used but isn't really confident in their ability to do anything, this is an easy thing. It's still important, but it's just something that doesn't take a lot of time to get the hang of, by what I understand.
Yeah. I think that brings up a really good point to also speak on, which is how we onboard people. Lighting is our first entry to onboarding in our tech team, because as you saw, It's a space bar,
Yes, sir.
which isn't, I mean, we say it's super easy, but there are some people who just can't, you know. So it's a great way to just kind of see, hey, is this going to be a good fit for you or not? Typically it is. And it also gives them kind of a low stakes opportunity to watch how our order flows and understand like our team dynamic without as demanding of a role. Is probably a good way to say that.
Okay, that's really awesome.
And we typically graduate people from there straight into Pro P, and they'll kind of live between those two positions for about a year. And then if they're showing like, hey, I'm really interested, I'm really wanting to do this sound and light thing, we'll say, well, if you'd like to learn sound, we'll teach you. And then that's kind of their capstone for the trifecta.
Okay.
And as of this Sunday, actually today was our first day, piloting people to take my role, which is producer, so that we have a fully volunteer staffed booth. So if I'm ever not here or the day that I leave, that this church is set up for success in a way that they don't need me to operate, It also frees me up to go and enhance other spaces throughout our church on a Sunday morning, like kids or first impressions or something like that. So
that's cool. It makes a good way to like incorporate everybody and really just cover your bases, I feel like.
Yeah. All right. So moving on down, integrated our Behringer wing probably like a year and a half ago. Really, really enjoyed it. Anybody on any other audio-based podcast or YouTube videos that says that it's super hard, I would love to have a conversation with them about where they got hung up and help them get past it super fast. I did the initial setup on this, kind of reintegrated some input lists and spreadsheets I had from what our X32 did, which probably helped speed it up quite a bit, but just building the whole scene from scratch, I found it to be super intuitive and simple. And one thing that really pushed us to this wasn't only that we were in the Behringer ecosystem already from the X32, so as far as how we could steward our budget for church tech or whatnot, it was kind of a low barrier of entry. We didn't have to go spending 5 figures to get a whole new system through another company, like your Allen and Heaths or Yamahas. We stuck with it because we already had the S16s, the P16s. But another part that I really enjoy about it is that at this price point, you still get user-defined layers. So I'm able to set up just a drum bus, guitar bus, keys bus, vocal bus, and that's all that our volunteer has to mix. Or I say bus, forgive me, DCA. And they're not looking at 8 channels of drums and 8 channels of tracks and 2 guitars and 3 channels for keys. They're able to take the whole band into about 4 or 6 faders, and that's all they have to run on a Sunday. So it makes that first few Sundays as an audio engineer super easy. And just the customization that it brings with that has been super, super great, not to mention the processing. So.
Especially like as me learning still how to do sound and audio and all that, especially like my first time looking at a board, and mine was the X32, seeing all the blinking lights and like for the most part it's just mute and stuff like that, you're like, what am I getting myself into? So it's really good that you can like simplify everything for the new people.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm forming a thought.
No, you're all right.
Yeah, so City isn't the only church that I'll do, kind of console setups for. I just did an install for a church on the north side of Evansville here. Like, we don't have a sound guy, and whenever they do, they've probably never seen one before. So just setting up, I think those kind of groups for people like a drum group or whatever that console calls it, makes that very simple to get into. So you can get a basic good mix going, and then they can just kind of take those submasters and run it. So
you can just kind of learn as you go, which is important too. Okay. Is there anything else on the wing that just really sticks out, other than like better than other consoles or worse than other consoles or anything?
I wouldn't say so. Like it's got a lot of flexibility to it. Standard, they come with the ability to do a virtual sound check in console. You have to bring a DAW in. It makes teaching and really kind of a recap even for our worship team on how they played super accessible. Just press a few buttons and you're doing a playback. The only thing that I would point out that we might do kind of weird compared to most churches, I think a lot of people run from their graphics computers, so the pro presenters, the media shouts, proclaims, whatever. They're running like a Spotify or something in the background for the pre and post. We wanted to have different feeds for that. So pro presenter is the only thing that comes from that Mac Mini as far as audio goes. And then our pre and post is all on a little iPod Touch, just Velcroed to the side of the board.
That works.
So it helps maintain that, like, if pre and post music is like a significantly different volume match. We can just kind of keep that so we know before and after service we're going to have a good steady level.
Exactly.
And then the same thing coming from Brooklyn.
Okay.
So
that's pretty cool, actually. I forgot about iPod Touches.
I know.
I haven't thought about one of those since I was like 10.
Yeah, and cool. It's not like an internet thing. It's music's all downloaded to it, and we know it's always
That's
there.
good too.
So.
We a lot of our stuff runs on Wi-Fi, so sometimes the Wi-Fi's slow. Just especially after a storm or something, we've had it knocked out. It's just like
reliability's huge.
Okay. And what's back here in this second row?
So back in the COVID days, we did prepare our church for a live stream, took advantage of a grant that Indiana had, and did some decent installs, a rack-mounted ATEM device, several point or PTZ cams mounted throughout the sanctuary. And then our leadership made a call that I love personally to not do the live stream anymore. And pretty quickly, we saw our numbers go back up to pre-COVID.
That's good.
And it wasn't that we were being reckless or anything, because this was probably a year after public policy kind of lightened up again. But it was just that we thought that church was an in-person, touch it, smell it, taste it, don't taste it kind of thing. And we've seen some really good stuff from that. So one thing that might be, a conflicting thought is like, well, how do you take care of the people who aren't there? We do still weekly produce a podcast of our sermon. So that's available on multiple platforms. We get hundreds of streams on that a week.
Is it just City Church Evansville on
So citychurchevv.com, you can find all the sermons on there, or City Church of Evansville on like Apple Podcast and stuff.
Okay.
It's all available right there. So you'll notice we do still have our multi-view up though. That's for the TV in the team room, our nursery, out in City Square. We still have a producer weekly, which is historically been me. We're starting to, as I said, develop that role out to more people. So this position will take care of the overview of service and the peripheral view of the rest of the church. So we are switching from a pro presenter feed, pre, post, and some spots within our service, and then just a camera view, if it's set up right. It's not. Right for worship, preaching, all that, so our overflow spaces can see that as well.
And they have their own talk back, it looks like, right?
We do, yeah. So I set up, right now I have 7B in here because I was just feeling like being a little extra the other day. But we also have a radial hotshot mounted down below. So like I said, our operators have their own in-ear mix, and with no button depressed on the hotshot, this mic simply goes to them to help work as a tech team together. And so if we need a lighting cue done a little quicker, I can holler that out. The producer can holler that out. We'll do countdowns for like our like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown to go into our pre-service countdown, into our bumper, things like that. So we operate together as a team. And whenever we go into our mid-service bumper leading into the sermon, I'll actually press the button, and that lets me talk to anybody in the room that has in-ears. So our keyboard player, worship leader, whoever, will be able to hear that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, so that we can all transition together into the bumper or other moments.
And you guys keep I think you told me you keep a timer up, right, in a lot of spots?
Yeah, so we use Planning Center Live. I think it's on any Planning Center subscription, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that you get Planning Center Live, and it just helps kind of keep things flowing. Like you said, we run 2 services that are the same, and we have about a 25-minute changeover. So if we run 10 minutes long, that only gives city kids 15 minutes to get 100 kids in and out real fast. So maintaining our set and our pace can be very important, especially in first service. And so we'll just operate that from an iPad here, just transitioning through the different parts of the service. And we have a timer that shows up on our confidence monitor fed from Planning Center Live that helps communicate to the stage where that's going.
Okay.
But anybody who has access to that Sunday morning in Planning Center Live throughout the church, I've checked it on vacation before, can see where we're at in that transition.
Okay. And that actually brings up a good point. I forgot to ask you earlier. Like, how many people do you guys run usually on like an overall Sunday?
So we're seeing some growth right now, but anywhere from 500 to 650, 700.
Okay.
So you guys 500 would be a pretty low day for us.
How many does this building sit at a time?
That's a great question. I think we're probably at like a 550, 600 max.
So you're pretty much filling this place
Yeah, well, between two services.
Between
right.
two services.
Okay. Yeah, we have 2 seating capacity signs, one by the front door and one in the balcony because they're treated as 2 separate spaces.
Okay.
And I can never remember what that simple math is. So
it's not something you think about very often. You see it once or twice. And another thing I noticed is the balcony you said. So back here where I'm at, there's obviously a roof above me. How does that play with the sound back here as opposed to up there?
Yeah, so like I mentioned up front, we run 3 zones of audio technically in our main space. We have our main left, right, and then we have an under balcony fill, which is just set up as a matrix through the wing, and then a second matrix for our upper balcony fill. Okay. Both are set with their own delay and are a rough mix that follows the main mix. So we try to make it to where it's seamless, but we do understand that people sit in the back for a reason, so this is typically a quieter listening environment, back and under, and then kind of par for the course up top.
Okay.
I think all of our moms told us that cleanliness is close to godliness, so a storage room is essential for me. Larger cable wall, just kind of a storage rack. We've got some extra active speakers, one that's deployed out in the church right now. Cajon, extra mixer, this is where we keep our haze fluid, some extra fixtures, a projector that we retired but we'll use for additional events, as well as a little space right over here where all of our wireless is stored and charged. So this is the other half of our SLXD system and our wireless in-ears. But we also have anybody that wants to use a little locker in our space to store their in-ear monitors has a little space here so they've got their names and then they can just come grab their headphones. Keeps from forgetting their headphones on any given rehearsal or Sunday, and they know right where it's at. So it's just kind of a way of taking care of our team.
I know we talked about your mics are a little bit different than the usual mic that people use, right?
So if you're not familiar with the Shure KSM8, you should be. A lot of mics have a single diaphragm inside. The KSM8 has 2. Helps eliminate some proximity effect, bring some clarity to the vocal. And any guest worship leader that I've had in this space so far, after their first sound check song, will stop and just ask what it is. It's a pretty clear and obvious difference once you get into live vocals. So really, really enjoy it.
And I can't end the video without saying thank you to Tyler Sipes for helping us and City Church for allowing us to come into their church and see how and why they run things the way they do. So thank you so much, Tyler. Thank you, City Church, and we'll see you guys soon.